Take two. We're gonna do a recording, possibly, today, which happens to be November 21st, 2017. And we'll just develop it from the point of so many of us are broken. We're just so wounded, at least, if not broken, if not shattered, wounded from the events of our past that just scarred us deeply. And time goes by, years go by, we get taller, we get older, but those things stay. They stay put. And sometimes what we do is we try to distract ourselves with whatever, any kind of activities or relationships or whatever. Sometimes it's addictions, anything to just not go back to the pain of the things that we've undergone. And I think it's safe to say that most of us have come from some type of dysfunction. Just raised in a family among people who just had never had their wounds tended to, never began the process of healing from the things that happened in their past, and they carry those right on in to their new families. That's us. if we were lucky enough to be born in a family of people that just never healed. And so it plays out in it's pain. And so that pain is still lodged in there, and it doesn't want to be, and so it releases. And that's why you've probably heard that expression that people hurt the ones that are closest to them. That's an expression. I'm not going to say that my opinion on the expression, but it's out there. That's excuse me, pardon me, that people hurt those closest to them. And because when we're at work, well, you can't go off on the boss, you can't go off on your coworkers and risk losing your job. When you're in certain settings that that could be damaged, if you let loose, well, you hold it in. You get home and blah. Oops, you're going the wrong way, dude. How did you even come in that way? Anyway, yeah, so then we grow up, and it's so weird because you hear people say, how can someone have experienced the tragedies and then inflict it on someone else, knowing how it feels? That's what happens, because again, if the healing doesn't happen, there's got to be some kind of release, and And even though it boggles the mind, you know, people who have been abused as children, whether physically, emotionally, or sexually, so often they turn right around and do the same thing. And they perpetrate these hurtful things on children themselves. But even if it's not to that degree, if we're carrying, meaning if we haven't suffered trauma to that extent where it's playing out in that ugliness against children, it could come out with our partner, you know. And it's just, it's such a twisted web, because you'll have people who come out of this dysfunction and they're like, F that, I'm going to never be powerless again. And then they take on this like persona of strength and power, but it's not really strength or power. It's controlling other people. But in their mind, it's telling them, oh, this is me in control of my life, and it's not. So you have that outcome. Sometimes you have an outcome of a person who, you know, they went through shit too, right? But for them, the hardest thing for them was feeling abandoned, feeling alone. And so people will, it's so weird. They'll be drawn to those personalities that are going to be controlling and heavy on them, and even deceitful, and put up with it and let other people control their lives. And even though, and they'll excuse it, they'll rationalize really awful behaviors coming from another person or other people that are mistreating them, because for them the big thing is, can't be abandoned, I can't be alone. And so when whatever little calculation goes on deep inside, it says, you know what, anything beats being alone, being abandoned, being forgotten, and not being a part of a loving family. Well, they say a loving family. Being a part of a functioning unit. Even if that unit is not loving, even if that unit makes me miserable, my misery is always going to be my choice over being abandoned. And so then somehow you have these two types that attract each other, pull each other together, somehow magically. Not magically. And they're both getting what they want. You see, one is feeding off of the other in this controlling mind fuckery, because they know that the other person desperately wants to belong. And the person who is putting up with that, you know, tries to sweep things under the rug and pretend that it doesn't exist or whatever, but they know, and the payoff is they're not alone. So I'm at my destination, and I have to continue this in a bit. Much love.